The mountain had a silence that could swallow a man whole, a silence so heavy that even the creak of an old cabin beam seemed like thunder rolling across the endless wilderness, and it was in that silence that Jeremiah Cole lived, a man carved out of solitude and roughened by years of winter storms and the kind of loneliness that gnawed at the bones, but never quite broke him. He had chosen the mountain because it asked nothing of him except survival, because the world below had betrayed him too many times with false promises, shattered friendships, and blood spilled in places where the earth was too tired to drink it all. His cabin sat against the slope like a scar on the land, built from timber he had cut himself, patched and repatched through seasons that showed no mercy. The nights there were long, the kind that stretched across the sky like a shroud, and it was on one such night, when the wind howled like wolves and the fire spat angry sparks, that Jeremiah heard a noise that didn't belong. At first, he thought it was the storm clawing at the roof, but the rhythm was wrong. It was softer, uneven, like something, or someone, struggling against the timber. Gripping the old rifle that leaned against the wall, he pushed open the cabin door, and the icy wind struck him like a whip, tearing at his face as his eyes searched the darkness. That was when he saw it, swinging faintly under the eaves of his roof, something pale against the black night. He stepped closer, his boots crunching against the frozen ground, and his heart slammed once, hard, before tightening like a fist. A woman hung from the beams, her body swaying slightly with the wind, her hair, a wild cascade of blonde, falling like a veil over her face. For one terrible instant he thought she was dead, some ghost strung up by the cruel hand of fate, but as he moved closer, he caught the faintest tremor of breath. She was alive, bound and battered, and carved into the bare flesh of her shoulder were the words, seared deep and cruel, Apache Lover. The letters glowed red in the flicker of his lantern, raw and angry, as if the fire that had marked her still burned in her skin. Jeremiah's throat tightened. He had seen branding before, in the wars, but never anything like this, never words that carried both venom and history. He cut her down quickly, catching her in his arms as she fell limp against him, lighter than he expected, fragile in a way that made him wonder how she had endured such pain. Carrying her inside, he laid her on his cot near the fire, watching as the flames cast shadows across her bruised face. She stirred once, whispering something he couldn't catch, words tangled with fever and fear, and for a long moment, Jeremiah simply sat there, staring at her, trying to understand what kind of story could bring a stranger to his roof branded with a name that carried the weight of blood feuds and broken loyalties. He felt the mountain watching, the storm outside pressing against the cabin walls, as though the wilderness itself knew that his life was about to change forever, and change, he had always feared, came with a price.